What's going on, everybody? My name is Tenebris Infinite, and welcome back to Generation Zero. For today, we've got a little bit of news and speculation for you dudes. So the team have put out a letter just yesterday, and I thought it would be good for us to read over this letter and then kind of talk about some of these things. So the letter reads as, "Hello everybody. Just over a week ago, we updated the game to include storage for all of you to dump your hard-earned loot into, and we've heard that you're enjoying it. That said, there are a few things that we should clear up and call out based on your feedback. First of all, some of you have noticed that the inventory counter can go over the 100 limit, which is confusing. This is a display bug in the UI. Weapons with attachments currently count all items attached rather than just the spots the weapon should take. So for me, it's kind of the opposite, in which case I'm not able to utilize all of my 100 inventory spots in the Plundra, but hopefully that will get fixed whenever they fix all of that stuff. So a good example is an Automat 4 with a red dot scope and a silencer only should count as 2 spaces because the weapon itself normally only takes up 2 spaces in your inventory, but right now it would incorrectly display as 4 items in the storage. So it sounds like they're going to fix that and make storage better for weapons, coming up with maybe the next fix or the fix after that. We've heard that you've asked for more storage space, and that's something we'll continue to monitor in terms of feedback and player data. We want to make sure that you have the flexibility, but aren't amassing an overwhelming amount of things that make the game too easy. So I don't think that we'll see storage get increased anytime soon until maybe a new wave of weapons or items get introduced into the game. But for myself, I think that 100 is an okay limit. If they can change the whole thing with weapons, then 100 is completely manageable. Next up, there's also been a question of being able to rearrange your inventory while you have the storage open. That's something that we agree with. Right now, while we understand it can be a little fussy, we feel there are other areas we should concentrate on which would have a bigger impact on the overall game experience. We do, however, plan to revisit inventory management in the future. So I'm a little bummed to hear that they aren't going to be focusing on us being able to organize our storage and manage our stuff in the Plundra. It takes a little bit of the spark out of the Plundra not being able to keep things sorted as you like. But in the end, if they feel like they should concentrate on stuff that's going to have a bigger impact on the overall game experience, you can't really argue that. I think that that's still good, that they're just looking forwards and looking ahead to what they're going to be introducing next. And admittedly, as a priority, being able to organize the Plundra in comparison to getting something interesting like raids or repeatable dungeons or just repeatable missions in general, just definitely the priority should be going to those things. But moving on here, the letter closes off with, "As for what's upcoming, we have our eye on providing you with more things to do in the game. For a while now, we've heard that you are looking for other ways to stay engaged with the game, and we've been looking into ways that we can deliver that to you. Since we're a small team, we'll start out by introducing things slowly and grow them over time, but we'll have something for you to check out soon. Short one this week, but we'll talk again before our next update, and we'll have more detail for you then. As always, keep letting us know what you're looking for so we can keep improving. Thank you, the Generation Zero team." So, I mean, like, that's good stuff. That sounds like really good stuff and really exciting stuff for what's coming up and potentially the next update. I really like the idea of stuff that's going to keep us engaged with the world. That's nice and vague as usual for the way the Generation Zero team likes to keep it. But honestly, that has my curiosity piqued, my dudes. And definitely you can be sure that I'm going to be covering that every step of the way here. So next up, a little bit of interesting information that came out of one of the developer live streams just shortly before the Plundra was introduced to the game and we got our August update. So I'm going to play this clip and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
somebody asked the question, are there any plans of adding wildlife or something to make the world feel more alive? Yes, is the vague answer. That's something that we've heard from launch is at times the world doesn't feel as full as you would expect. What are some more things that we can do to spice up what you're doing as you run in between the different locations as you're playing through the story. We made some changes in the starter island. If some of you remember, way back in April.
Yeah.
I don't remember. My memory is not what it used to be, and I'm very tired today, unfortunately. Where we started adding kind of like some world scenes into the game, so that you could see, giving the world a little bit more variety, a little bit more personality in small spots. And we want to continue that trend. It takes some time, and we've got some other ideas that we hope people enjoy. But yeah, we're aware of that one for sure.
So it's exciting stuff there, my dudes. I think that the idea of introducing wildlife is a very interesting prospect for Generation Zero. I'd be curious to see how it would be implemented, but I do think that it would be very cool if it was added. And the thing to remember is that the Hunter Call of the Wild team works very closely to the Generation Zero team, so getting animals introduced maybe would not be a difficult feat. But what I think Paul was talking about in more specific there is the set pieces that were introduced on the first island and expanding on those, which is something that I actually made as like a little wish list video just recently, talking about how I'd like to see police stations used as actual buildings in games that we could explore. So I think it would be really cool if they could expand on that and keep bringing that further into the island. It would add a lot more reasons for us to get outside of bunkers in Generation Zero, which is very necessary. But also, I think that it would add to the general player experience when it comes to new players and old players. Say if you're planning on repeating Generation Zero and going through the story again, having new set pieces and new things to utilize in combat all across the map would definitely make for a much more interesting experience when playing through the main storyline. But there you guys go. Just a little bit of news, a little bit of speculation on my end for what I think is potentially going to be coming in this next update, or the update succeeding it. All really interesting stuff, and I love the fact that the team is still just as ambitious as they were in the first place. They do remind us that they're a small team, but I'm a personal believer that the small team can do big things when it comes to Generation Zero. They can definitely make a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to this video game, if they just introduce some more recurring, more repeatable things into the game. Because right now, as it stands, Generation Zero's sick, and it's only getting better as each update comes out. But hey, maybe consider subscribing for the latest news and information and tips and tricks. We just recently hit 1,400 subscribers, so I'd like to say thank you so much to everybody that's subscribed so far. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.